was probably rather interesting.
Well, Tom, as spring goes, how they go? How was this one compared to the others?
Well, I don't know. You know, I was just thinking that after the game today. I was thinking, every year I think they're. It's just no way. I think that's just impossible. And I'm beginning to think maybe it's me, because I know last year I thought, these guys, there's no way. If they win a game, and then I looked at this year and it seemed like there's so many holes and so many weaknesses. But yeah, I know there's some good kids out there. And I know there's a real potential, and I'm trying to think back on it. Have I been this way every year, or did I, there's been a couple of years when I thought these guys are loaded. When they come back, if they stay healthy, they should really be able to get the job done. And so this group, when I hear them say, we're going to win the CIF and everything, and I want them to have that attitude. But I'm thinking, you really know what this takes. Where are you going to come up with this all of a sudden? Because I haven't seen you busting the doors in the weight room, and I haven't seen a lot of things that I think that need to be there. They got certain elements, and so, but today, I don't know. I think it's going to be a mental game with them. I think physically they're capable, but whether they, like the black team, they got kind of down. Negative. They got down on each other, and they weren't working as a unit, and they were kind of, in desperation. They were calling things that they don't know. They don't even know what the name of the defenses are. They had to sit there and wait till I called the defense, and they were coming up with stuff that we don't even have. They were just kind of frustrated, and they wanted to get into it. But get them all on the same page, and quite frankly, I feel like there's maybe one or two elements missing. If that would show up, I think that they would. What is that element? I'm not sure. Everybody wants one big. God, just give me one big linebacker and one hellacious running back, because we can build the rest of the team around that. But if this champion kid Skyler, if he comes through and all of a sudden becomes a phenom, that's an answer to one area. Terrence has put on a little weight, and he's a little slower than. I thought last year he surprised me, and I hope he surprises me again this year. But from the 40 times and stuff, that concerns me, the speed. And then defensively, we've got to get the whole package together yet. And I'm not real sure you can do a whole lot in spring. I mean, you got to put the face mask in the metal to find out whether you're going to do it.
What do you see as your strengths with you right now, early on? What would you say the strength of the team is?
Well, I think we recognize, the potential to get what you like to call the rack yardage, run after catch. I think that's there. I think the line is going to be there. A lot of that depends on how good Mike can bring them together this summer, and they have the potential and they have some depth. I think there's going to be some of those young puppies are going to have to get the size. They're just going to have to step up. And I saw some wincing that I don't like to see, but I don't know. Good judgment sometimes maybe saves a tooth or two, and so I can't really fault them for if they were a little more hard-nosed and hang in there. So once they get the gear on, if they can form up and really play it tough, take the big guys right down on top of them, that's a strength. So that's the receivers, line, and the DBs if they're the receivers, which is a kind of a bad thing because then you're not platooned. It's a big fall off between. I mean, we got two guys out there that got phenomenal speed, and the rest of the kids are average, and so that's speed kills.
What about the kicking in? Are you happy?
Well, I'm not happy with the way. I mean, I feel badly because we've always had some kicking guru. At least we had somebody that the kids thought was a kicking guru, and we've kind of put that on the shelf. And it's 25% of the game at least, and we're not giving it 25% of the time. So the punting, I think we've got good natural punters. We've been working with them. That you get your stroke down. It's just like kind of golf. Just kind of hone that up, and we'll come through there. I think Jonathan's going to be excellent on the PATs, short field goals. I think he's going to be good on that. He hit the ball really well last year, even though he had, I think, 3 misses in a row, but they were all right there. So that has to be perfected in camp. But as far as spring is concerned, we've not done a good job on that. I don't think about making that a priority and working with that. And then, will Dana be able to get the ball in the end zone? He did it a couple of times. We thought, young the kid that came. So if he's able to strike that ball, put it in the end zone, I mean, that's huge. That, how many times have we not been able to do that? It just seems like it's a real concern. I'd like to get somebody in that help us work in that area a little bit. That's an area where a coach, secondary specialist, offensive line specialist, kicking specialist. That's, I think, an area. The other stuff, because you do everything, you're working with a quarterback all the time, so if you're with the offense, pretty soon you're going to be pretty good offensive backs, quarterback coach. You know how the meshes, you're going to learn all that because everything's there. It's 100, you do it 1,000 times. So you tend to pick it up and it's a focal point. But those other areas it's a real opportunity for somebody to develop.
Now we go into summer. Tell us, give us a lowdown on what happens in summer and how a program. What's this passing league? We talked about this passing. What's that mean?
Well, it's not really a league, but it's just exposing your team to that level of competition. And again, that's something that if you don't do it, the other teams are probably they're gonna pass you up. You hope you can learn. You hope your kids have fun. Above all, you don't want to get anybody hurt. You want to be able just to throw and catch, and it's a little bit of a grind. I think we've got a good balance we have enough games, but we're not overboard where it's going to be running the ground. And it's probably a barometer. It'll probably help the defense this year more than the offense, because I think we can develop our own passing game here, but our defense has got they're going to have to adjust, and so we got to get on that. And that the kids not being in the right positions, and again, the lack of ability to platoon is going to be it's not good for us. I mean, Matt Hall is probably our best secondary guy, also our best receiver. We need another Matt Hall. Then we would have 2 great receivers and 2 great TPs, and we still wouldn't be platooning. What do they say? Some coaches say if you don't know who to play in a position, or there's 2 guys that have equal ability, that means you're lousy at that position. Because if you get some superstar there, nobody beats them out.
We're going to talk to you later about the league, but right now, as you look forward, just an overview, not just of the league, but of the year. Sort of like some coaches talk about things such as these are must wins, these are guys you have to knock off. And what do you look at the 10-game season? Who are the teams right up front that you think that you need to take care of, and teams you can't lose to, that type of things?
I think, and I kind of think that Orange. I think Dick is really, Coach Hill is really resolved to try to get a good team going. I think he's frustrated because that really hasn't happened for them. They've got a few good athletes, and they keep plugging away and they keep working. So if they get on a roll and have some early success, and I think they could be a contender. Last year, I felt sorry for their coaches because I felt that their kids kind of quit. I saw them when they played us; they were still playing pretty hard, and then later after they had lost, they didn't seem to be playing with that intensity, and I'm sure that was very frustrating to him because he's very competitive. So they're the one that I've got my eye on them a little bit. I would think just on paper, Villa Park would have to come back with they've got a good running back, and they've got to be fairly competitive. El Medina is always, I don't know what to expect from them. And Valley and Canyon, I don't see. I think Canyon's graduating a lot of really good athletes, and Valley is still trying to find their way. So between us and Orange and Villa Park, I would say should be right in there battling it out. And but we've always tried to have a little tougher off season than our league, and that's cost us some better looking records. And I find myself being more concerned about, can we beat Capo Valley? If we get in the playoffs, can we beat Santa Margarita? That's the benchmark that we're setting for ourselves, those really good teams. So kind of in answer to your question, if I thought we were good enough to beat those teams, then I know we can take care of the league. And so when I say that I'm concerned about our material or I'm concerned about our progress, I'm thinking in terms of what are those people doing. And I would like to have that, be able to say we're going to go in there and play those guys. And what happens is you have a real tough preseason, you do really good, then you sort of take care of league, which is your ticket to get there, then you go back into those, because when you get into the second, third, and fourth round of the playoffs, the teams are all going to be pretty good teams. So, but I don't know, it's what somebody said one time, when you get to heaven there'll be 3 surprises. First surprise is there'll be some people there you didn't think would make it. Second surprise is there's going to be some people gone that you thought were going to be there for sure, but the biggest surprise of all is that you're there. And so, I don't know, in football, it's always, always looking for those surprises, and sometimes it's kind of nice to be surprised that there you are too. You're right in there with them. And I don't know, I guess if 3 or 4 blue chip kids all moved in here out of one family, like the Selmans or something like that, I probably would be pretty confident.
What are you guys going to do? What are you going to do for relaxation during the break, during the dead time? What type of things do you do traditionally with your family, or you get away and recharge your batteries?
Oh, you just sit around and worry, and then you realize the time is so short, and you just sit there worrying about it, and then it's gone, and then that makes you mad. I don't know. I just at the point now where I just put one foot in front of the other. So, my philosophy's getting to be, everybody's got to be somewhere. I might as well be here. It's on the sideline. Well, I've got to be somewhere. Here I am. If I'm fishing, here I am. So, I don't know.
Last time we talked about it, you talked about one more time. You said every year it's hard. You have to make that decision. Obviously, at this point in spring, you come to that decision. It's one more time. You're going to do it one more time. Is there any reservation ever? Or now it's parachutes off, full blow?
Well, I don't know. That's, again, I think it's just one foot in front of the other. I mean, I feel like that we have not been helped to. As you know, we've gone into several programs and we've turned the programs around. People they're on the rocks and they want to develop a good program, and God has blessed us in a way that we work together pretty good, and we've found some kids and we've done what they've asked us to do. But as soon as we do that, they don't want to build upon that. They become complacent. They're satisfied. Well, you came in and you saved us from embarrassment, and now I'm sorry, we're out of line. We can't line the field today. Oh, I'm sorry, that's out of our budget. I'm sorry, I'm taking my kid to Hawaii. I don't really think he needs to be in the weight room. I mean, it's all these things happen, and what I'm saying is, when you say one more time, if you were allowed to build upon your successes, you have a good program and somebody's program over here is not doing so well, and 3 of those kids want to come into your school and join your program. Wow, now you get better, and now another couple of kids, they want to come, and so pretty soon you're being rewarded for what's happened good in your program. And other people come and they see things and they say, well, geez, this you guys got a great program going here, but your lift needs to be painted. And you come one day and the lift is painted, and they surprise you with things that they do instead of, we have a spring game today. Who puts out the markers? Everybody knows we have a spring game, so the head coach is down marking the field, putting out the things, putting up the pads on the goalposts. It's strange that these things aren't. So it would be nice to be able to say, this is not one more time. This is just going to be continuous because this is hog heaven. I mean, your successes are you're getting some rewards. So, but for us, each year it starts from ground zero. It's just like last year really never happened, and so you say, well, okay, one more time. But there's going to come a time when you say, I'm not sure that I want to keep starting at ground zero. I'd like to, but maybe that's the case in a lot of programs. I don't know.
Any thought on thinking that is there a utopia? Is there a program like that?
I don't know.
Exists?
Does it happen in Lubbock? I think I'll write a book. Does it happen in Lubbock? I had a booster clubs said something to me about, well, when we play those tough preseason games and we lose, that hurts his crowd because the people only want to come see an undefeated team. And I said, yeah, that's the difference. Here, people will go see somebody. They'll go see any team as long as they're undefeated. They'll go watch Modern Day and they have no interest in Modern Day whatsoever. But if Modern Day loses a couple games, they won't go there either. So it's like, our society has become so jaded or whatever that if you're not the number one dog, then they're not going to support you. And when a booster club said something to me like that, and I said, that doesn't happen in Lubbock. I've never really been to Lubbock, so I don't know. But what I envision is, this is your town, this is your school, this is your loyalty. You're there, you're rooting them on, thick or thin. You got that seat warmed up, regardless of what their record is, because you're invested in that community, and those are your kids. They're your neighbors. They're your friends' kids, and you're there supporting them, and you live and die for the Warthogs or whatever they are. And here, it's that doesn't happen, because if you're not on top, you want to go watch the Mighty Ducks, I guess.
There's such a high expectation always to win. Wherever you've gone, people expect you to produce and win because you've done it. Is it harder to win games? Is it harder to keep going when everybody's going after you?
Well, it's the fear of failure becomes greater. I think that just comes from within the individual. I mean, to me, people, if we lose, I feel terrible. I feel like I've let everybody down. I've let the kids down, let the staff down, everybody. I've let them down because I didn't find a way to win. But the reality is, they're home and they're just sleeping away on their pillows, and they really aren't upset that much. But I perceive that they are. So then, there's a connection between. Someone once said that human beings will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. And I think that I think there's a connection there between do you play to win or do you play not to lose? And if you're, and there's a, I haven't got that all figured out just yet, but I think when you're playing because you're afraid that you're going to lose and you don't want to lose, that's not quite the same as playing because, man, you got the opportunity to win. This will be great. I got the opportunity to win. Oh, I didn't win. No big deal. I got the opportunity to win next week. Instead of, sheesh, that team should have never beat us. They beat us, and so they beat us, and you're negative because you go out. Boy, I don't want to lose this week. I want to win, and and I don't know how much of that you can develop within yourself, but the desire to be successful. Just for that sake, rather than to be successful because the contrast is so negative. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's a whole interesting area of study, that's for sure. But I think the pressure is less for me right now. I think when you first start out, you're trying to prove something to yourself, and if you don't prove it to yourself, then what's the conclusion? I wanted to do it, but I didn't do it. And the world is full of people that are now, assistant principals or something because when they were coaching, they didn't win any games, so they went on to something else. So, I don't know.
Just wrapping up lastly, is Chicago once it's understood?
Well, I don't know whether Jordan can pull the rope-a-dope again, but I don't know. I told a kid today, I said, I think Jordan pulled the rope-a-dope on the Utah Jazz. I said, what do you think? And the kid said, Coach, what's rope-a-dope? I said, have you ever heard of Muhammad Ali? No. I said, kid, get away from me. These guys, man.
So is your old town, is everybody in Gridley just going ballistic in Chicago? Do they support that team?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. I think the last 6 male babies that were born were all named Jordan.
In the hole, Robbie, right about the... Scoot up, Robbie. Scoot up, Robbie. You're 6'2", you can throw it over you. Let's go. Wider, Robbie, a little wider.
Ball! Good. Good job, defense. Good hold.
That's what I'm talking about, basketball. He's gonna play this. He's gonna screen you up, get small time.
Hey, you guys. Hey, bump it this way a little bit. Matt, understand it's all flat. Let's go, foothill. Intersection time. Come on, stop him. I know you can. Let's do it. Skyler, you're on. Let's go, foothill. Let's go, foothill.
What is he doing? Hey!
Straight back, Newman.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You guys are right up on the line. What about you? Where's your throw? Why do you guys leave for Arbitrage off play?
Oh, come on.
Right! Left!
Let's go, Josh. Smoke him, baby.
Razor!
Strong left. Hands on.
Way to go.
And then cross. There you go.
Time.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right.
Robbie, nice step.
Yeah. Let's go.
You get 3 again. Stand on line scrimmage.
Let's go.
5 steps. Let's go. We're clapping up right there. Now we're up and again. Chrome can catch the ball 5 yards when you're touching it. It's better. 3rd, 2nd, and 5 is better than 2nd, 10. Let Chrome catch the ball. There's no way, I don't care what happens, they cannot cover when they're standing here. If you throw the ball with your arm, how is he going to? So what? He comes up and we get 5 yards. You're not eating the ball. Quit eating the ball.
Let's go, guys. He told me he wants to use it. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody's body. Go right in a little bit.
Okay.
Wait. Let you guys wait for Robbie to play.
All right, here we go. Who's going to make the play? Who's going to make the play? Come on, Adam. Hands on.
Lucky.
Hands on.
Point 9.
Point, I go.
Let's go, Robbie.
All right. There you go.
Lucky. Point 9.
Go, John.
Point, I go. In.
John, on the ball, please. On the ball. Sit in for a second.
Hey, Eric, you got to get over there. Right there. Middle.
Ball! Nice! There you go. Good job.
Come on, Skyler.
Go.
Hey, the team. Oh, shit. Hey, can you go?
Cross! Come on! Across!
Good job, man.
Did you see him?
Stop doing this way.
5. Nice.
Whoa.
Reception!
Josh! Let's go, Vince. Get him. Right there. Cross! There you go, Buddha.
Hag him. Get it over.
There you go, Buddha. Get this going, Jeff. Come on, Jeff. They're making a play, Buddha. Got to feel it. Let's go. Come on, Jeff. Blue 8. Back up. Blue 8. Nice.
Ball! Dan.
4. Nice.
Close man, Robbie.
Going out.
Good, almost, Harvey. Quicker.
Just touch. Blue 5. Nice.
Red 9. Red 9. Nice. Get there now. God. There.
There you go. There you go.
2-5. Nice.
Bull. Go, D.
Green
Go,
4.
D.
Green 4. Nice.
Go, Matt. Jump that, Matt.
Oh.
Good job.
Nice choice.
Hey, blowing up.
Straight. Nice.
There he goes, right to you.
Middle. Good. All right, good job. There you go. Hey, turn up like you want it, young man. Turn up like you want it.
All the way.
Blue 8.
Hard.
Nice. Green 9. Nice.
Middle.
Ball. Get it, Terry.
Top 10.
There you go. Beautiful.
Where were you playing? Excuse me. Hey, coach, can you line that up for me? Line up.
Oh! Rip. Fine.
Oh! Out.
Dana, you have no support.
Middle.
Now you got work. There you go, Jeffrey.
Good job, Jeffrey.
Don't hurt him.
So you do.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
Hey, Norm, I'm going in. I'm going in.
Norm. Work.
Just put up.
Look at that.
Oh, shit.
Dave, move in, Dave.
Pass.
Let's go.
Right where you're supposed to be, Dave. You got that ball.
Razor. 15. Go.
Ah!
Go.
Oh! All right. Hey, Ben Aaron. Okay? Don't forget yours. Razor.
Loading. Loading. Go.
Pass.
Oh!
Harvey. Yeah! All right.
Ooh, wait. Nice.
Go by.
Whoa.
Nice job. Let's go.
Outside.
Hey, watch.
That was my fault, Jeff.
Razor. Loading. Go.
I'd take the swing 100 times over getting Matt hung up. Don't you like that swing? He's got 9 yards. Get the swing.
Hey.
Backside red. Red right. It's not like
Let's go, put out. The ball tough.
It's your fault. Razor. Right now. When I go. Razor. Right now, there you go. Louis, go.
There it is.
Up. Outside, outside.
Mitchell, the remaining back.
Blue 7. Blue 7. Hi. Right here, Charlie.
Look alive, look alive.
Good job, Charlie. Let's go, dude. Pick it up. All right. Good job. Good job. Green 7. Green 7. Hi.
Go defense.
Come on. Come on, Charlie. Go defense. Good job. Come on.
I'm going to read this. I'm taking away. So I'm going to start taking away a little more of your discretion and saying, come in the play, throw it to him. And we'll start working until you understand you've lost your reading ability. You were bad at the beginning, then you progressed, and now the last 3 games you've gone back to where you're like a freshman. And you have to get up there and say, hey, there's the opening gap. He's running a slant. I know it. Remember, Matt's not running a slant like this. He's not sitting here. Here's the guy, and just going over here like this, and the guy's closing. They're working into that thing, and they're shoving off. They're bumping. And now he's got body position. It's just like a basketball. You can't stop up into the big man, the pick play. I mean, you drop it into there so he can do it. Well, same concept. You're trying to throw anything under is basketball. We're trying to get position on these people. And we want Chad to catch a hitch, turn around, and let the guy try to take a tackle. If this guy is the corner, their corners play 6 yards off, right? And they're doing this. They're trying to take a 5, but they're scared about the deep. If they run up and he catches a hitch, and you throw the ball on time, that guy's not going to stop him. And that's what you got to believe. You got to come up there. Right now, your confidence is not there. All right? And I just want to, because you can talk to these guys, and sometimes it's better with player communication. They need to tell you, I can beat this guy right here. Look at the play he called. What happened after the slant? When he did the slant go, where'd the safety? Him and the corner hit each other actually. Turned around and then stopped. I think you got it on film. I'll show you. Okay? Offense. Go, Rob. Go, Dana.
Razor. White 9. White 9, go. In. Watch that. Oh, there you go.
Good job.
Nice catch, man.
Couldn't make a play on the ball.
Come on. No secret.
No, ball's from the music.
No secrets out here. Come on.
Hey, baby.
Guys, that was my warm-up pass, coach. I just didn't want
Left.
Go, Dana, quick back. Read the coverage. Let's go.
Razor. Red 16. Oh. Red 16, go. Out. Oh. Whoa.
Okay, gotta put on target.
Let's go, offense.
Right there. Hey,
Cyan looks silly.
right. You're looking time here to them. You just want to dump the ball about 4 yards, let you turn it. Okay? Still through. Second. That's gonna be third.
Third. There you go. Blue 80. See them. Hands on. Blue 80, go.
That's that.
Hey, Dave. You gotta be over in here. You got a linebacker already over there. Lucky.
Turns out.
All right. Good job, Adam.
Stay with it, man. There's no reason to come up.
6. Left. Razor. Blue 80.
Go, Brinson.
Blue 80, go. Yes! Cross. Oh! There we go. Good job. There you go. Good job. In there. Lucky lady. Blue 80, go. Pass. And Aaron.
Roll out.
That's so mean, Chad. You're probably saying that behind my back, too.
15. Go.
Or John.
Yes. Lucky. Blue 80. Inside. Blue 80, go. Pass.
Time.
Oh!
Don't throw the ball late.
All right.
He goes, boom.
And
He's like this close and he spins right around.
Blue 80, go.
Like,
Pass. Hands on.
nice
ball right there. Good. There you go. Got him, Newman. Stay with him, Newman. Get it, Newman. All right. Good job. Good job. Let's go. Hustle back.
Green 4. Green 4. Nice.
Middle. Robbie, where are you covering? Right back there.
Well, I don't really know what I can say about it other than every year it starts out. In the summer, it's kind of the same thing. It's the same, but it's different. It's like you're going to have to do it. You have to get ready for it, and then each group responds differently. Like this year was really unique because normally what happens is spring football's over, everybody's gone on vacation, and all your football kids, the last thing they want to do is jump right back into football. So the first week you're running around trying to figure out where they are, and all the coaches are here and they're ready to go, and you can't find the kids. This year was really unusual because the coaches said, Coach Stroop had plans, and so he told the kids you kind of relax the first week, and so I told him, I said, it's not a high priority. The weight room will be open, but won't be anything really happening until the coaches get back. So here they are Monday, all of them with their cleats, buck-tailed, ready to go, driving me nuts. Where are the coaches? Where are the coaches? Just lift weights, relax. You don't have to worry about it. And so the whole week they never got the picture. There they were. And so I'm sitting there thinking of that old adage about you never get a second chance to make a good first start. Sure enough, next week all the coaches are ready to go. The kids are saying, well, shoot, they weren't there last week. I guess that's it. So it just drives you nuts because you can't figure out whether don't they listen, don't they understand what the picture is. Freshman kids, that's been a real good group, and they're faithful about registering, paying their fee. They're here every day, and one of the young coaches, Dan Hansen, who played for us the second year now, he's run the weight room and he has them out on the field, and he's done a great job with them, and I'm really happy about that. But on the other hand, one of the things that really bothered me this year was I saw some other schools, and admittedly they were parochial schools, but they had a full freshman staff working with the kids, and I'm thinking, I'm not doing that, and I don't know that's possible. And I know there's a lot of public schools that don't do it, but if you want to be the best and you want to be on top of it, that should be done. So I felt bad about that because looking back on it, I said, I may have made a mistake in taking the staff that was at the school and working with them. Maybe I should have gone out and got people that were willing to work all summer with the freshman kids. But well, we got Coach Stroop back, and everybody got kind of back into the swing of it. And then right off the bat, because every year we always look pretty good because we have that first week. So when the kids came back, they stunk up the place the first couple of games, and I'm going, this group is not going to, they're really making me nervous. And then they started gelling a little bit. Then boom, we get some major injuries. So we're out there, we know we can do these things, but the guys that can do it are standing on the sideline. And I'm concerned about depth for this year anyway. So now we got these kids hurt, and I'm wondering about depth, and the other guys kind of picked it up, and so it began to come together a little bit. And then the linemen, that's another issue that really bothered me because I don't know why, but this year more than any other year, I'm seeing other teams that are working and they're perfecting their line, and we're not getting that done. Now, in the last couple of weeks, they've sort of started coming back in, and when you see them all there and you look at the first group, and they have the potential to be a pretty good group. And then as Dan said, we'll probably rush by committee this year, and we've done that in the past. And so not one guy has to carry the load, but you're rushing by committee. It's not a bad way of going because you don't have the season hinged on one guy. But on the other hand, the more years I look at this, and I realize that if you have that one special guy, you could have 100 high school football teams, and they're like formula racing cars. They're all identical. So they're out there. Some win, some lose. The games are close. It's just kind of one big parody of. Parody's not the word. It's when everybody's equal. Maybe it is parody. I don't know. They talk about the NFL as parody or whatever. But anyway, the point is that if you can get one really good running back. Now, last year we had Franklin Haynes, who was a gifted running back, and unfortunately we had to use him both on offense and defense, but so he wasn't sensational on offense, but he helped us so much. We were 9-3, and if he's not here, we probably would have been. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe we would have been. Maybe we would have been 6-5 or 6-4 or 6 something like that. And you think about that's only 3 games, but those 3 games again, like we say, Lincoln said, very little bit of difference between all men, but that little bitty difference is all the difference in the world. Very little difference between all football teams, but that little difference is all the difference in the world. What a difference between having a season that says 9-3 or 10-2 as opposed to 7-5, 6-4. You're an also ran, and that may be a sad commentary on today's society because as I step back and look at this thing all the time, I think to myself, really my role is to help the kids have a good, safe program, go out there, play the game, have some fun, be able to say, hey, I'm playing a football game tonight. Then after the game is over, if you won, that's great, and if you lost, it's not the end of the world. You just get ready and you go back, and next week you're going to go out and have fun and do it all over again. And but it's become more than that, and it's probably partially our fault. But anything less than a high degree of success is unacceptable, and that's not good. But I'm encouraged right now because I think the team can be competitive if nobody gets hurt, and but they are they're a troublesome group because I don't know how badly they want it. I don't know how they're going to respond in adversity. I'm not looking at the season, as I mentioned earlier. I think that there's only been twice in all my coaching when I said, oh boy, this is the year everybody's in trouble, and every other year it's been, I don't know what they're going to do, and then we come out and it's okay. But I don't know, it's like somebody said, it's whether you think you can or whether you think you can't doesn't make any difference because that's reality. So if you think you can, and you think you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it. So I try to be as positive as I can. At the same time, like I said, this particular group of youngsters, they had a couple of fights this year at Passing League, which we haven't had in the past, and they really weren't good causes to champion, and so that they distracted themselves, and there have been some guys that I thought should have been there when they weren't. So we're going to see what kind of character they have and what they're made out of. Again, we're going to, every year it seems like we always wind up with the juniors being the backbone. I don't know what happens to our senior leadership, but we just don't ever seem like we have a team laden with seasoned veteran seniors. So that bothers me just a little bit, but to say, I guess we'll step back and see what's going to happen.
Now that you'll be taking the off time, recharging your batteries, tell us what you do during that period, some traditional things you've done.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was talking to a colleague at the All-Star game this year, and I've concluded that I don't know if this makes sense to a lot of people, but if your work is number one, if your work is your passion, and if it's your hobby, then I think that's so important. And I think right now, a lot of the responsibility and a lot of the things that we do, I've released a lot of that to Danny and the other guys, the staff is not really interested in taking that because that's his hobby. That's the number one thing that he does. And I feel like maybe it's not just my only hobby right now, and I'm not sure that's real good because there are other things that interest me, and not that this doesn't interest me, but there are other things that I feel like I could be happy doing, and I don't think that's real good. So charging the batteries, I'm doing things that right now I'm passionate about, and like my grandchildren, building my street rods, doing some other things, and really I think that they're kind of an interference to football. So I'd like to be in a position where you were doing something that you really never wanted to go on vacation. Because when you think about it, if you're looking forward so much to your vacation, it's a sad commentary on what you're doing for a livelihood. And that, I don't know, that bothers me a little bit, because I think that if you can't wait to go on vacation, then whatever you're doing must be pretty lousy. So I would rather I'd rather be able to say I'm not, and to tell you the truth, I guess, every year I go back because I have a large family back in the Midwest, so I go back to Illinois. I have a great time back there. I see a couple of ball games. I talk to some coaches, and I go fishing, and it's all low-key family type stuff. I don't like going to resorts. And I'd rather go to Montana than to Europe. I'd rather drive over the hill not knowing what's there rather than having reservations somewhere. And so we'll just take one day at a time, and it's kind of funny because always in the background is the phone rings. There'll be things that I'll be doing all the way along. People want to know. The press nowadays, the press is so lazy. They want you to do their work. They want me to tell them who our players are, what their size is. They want me to submit all the stuff. And it used to be in the old days, a reporter came out, he'd be out here passing, and he'd go, this kid, and he's this tall, go talk to him, find out about it. Now they want the coaches to do everything, and if you don't do the work, then you don't get the publicity, and kids don't get covered. But the reporters are lazy, and it's like phone in your scores so we can get your scores on. You want to say to them, hey, you're getting paid, you do that, I'll just coach, you take care of the publicity. I guess if you were the only town you were the only show in the town, and if you're out at Needles, I suppose the Needles sports writer goes to the Needles football game and writes in the Needles newspaper what happened. But here, of course, there's 2,500 schools, and so the reporter has to count on us to do their work. But point of it being is that there's always something to do. I got the program to plan. I got to keep the booster club moving in the right direction. I've got to work with the equipment man, make sure everybody has all those things. And so the hundreds and hundreds of things that go on every day I do certain things that nobody knows anything about, and it has nothing to do really with actually being on the field, but yet it has to be done. I make arrangements for the trainers, make sure the weight room is open and covered. That it just goes on, it never ends. Doesn't say that I'm taking Coach Stroop to Illinois.
How about the kids? Has there been any surprises, any people moving in, or any surprises on that as the kids have been developing that you went, whoa, that's something to look at? I was really surprised. He's done well, work, some disappointments. Talking about the personnel.
No, I think the quarterback really has the potential to be special. I think our offensive coordinator has done a great job with the guy, and we are getting really a very sophisticated attack. It's interesting because I don't think there's a great deal of difference between what we're trying to accomplish and let's say what San Francisco or anybody that I say San Francisco, could be Green Bay or anybody, but any of the modern passing attacks based on yak yardage, yards after catch, throwing underneath, doing the reads and all that. But like all things, there needs to be a balance, and I sometimes think maybe we're a little bit off balance in that we're so sophisticated that God forbid that we should run a little sprint out and just drop the ball off to a guy wide open and get 4 yards. We've got to do a 3-step drop, do the read, and throw it. And it's very good, and it's very sophisticated, and it's very advanced. But by the same token, sometimes you don't need a chainsaw to cut a small tree down, just a little hatchet will do it. And so sometimes that part of it, I think we need to take a real good look at it, so we don't want to be, we don't out-clever ourselves. The kids, particularly Concolino and Hall this year, are probably two of as good a receivers with good speed, and I mean, there's no reason why they can't be premier. And we had a great quarterback last year in Tyler Lang, but the kid that we have this year can run, and we need to make sure that we exploit that, because especially on any kind of sprint out action, with him coming out and his ability to run, Now, whenever your quarterback runs, there is a certain danger that he could get injured. But on the other hand, if he runs and he gets used to it, and you don't expect that, it doesn't really become a reality for you. And you could have him drop back with everybody protecting him, and he still something would happen. So you can never really play it to avoid the injury, other than in a game where you're mopping up and you're playing your star back, and then he gets hurt. That you don't need to do that. But by and large, when you're in the thick of the battle, you really don't worry about those things. The injuries, if they happen, they happen. You just have to go on. You can't be thinking about that. Our linebacker core still is bothersome to me, and a couple kids that we had that we're really counting on at the end of the grading period come out on probation. It's very scary, because if they do not maintain their grades during the first quarter, they would be ineligible come when the league starts. And so you always have that kind of hanging over your head. This young Smith kid that transferred in, I think he's gonna be an impact player. I think he's gonna help us. Maybe not quite as much as Adam Pakes did last year, who came in as a senior, but every once in a while he shows me a little move or a little flash out there, and I say, hey, this guy's gonna be all right. And so I think he'll be okay. Again, the line, they look like a group that's going to work together, and I think they're going to have a good work ethic on it. We lost one of our really good defensive ends, and he's transferred out. So defensively, we're going to have to attack people and try to create things, and then our offense is probably going to have to score a few more points than. I mean, great offensive coordinators and great offensive teams love defense, because you can go out and take a few chances and blow a team out as long as the defense can hold. But if the defense is not holding and then they get behind, it really puts a lot of pressure on them to do their thing. And so it's going to be a real interesting year to see what happens in that area.
Last thing I want to end with this segment, I think I want to capture this on tape. I'll edit this part out. I'm talking right now, but I'd really like you, especially with an audience, and to capture this. It's my favorite story, and to have it on tape to memorialize forever. I would like you to tell us, the small audience, tell us about the time of that you were on the volunteer fire department. You had to go put out the oil fire. And I'd like to hear that story. It's quite a story.
Well, a lot of people don't know that I was born and raised in Gridley, Illinois, which is 7 miles due west of Chenal, and 6 miles due east of El Paso. And to kind of this town was so small that we referred to US 24 that ran through the town. We referred to that as the hard road. If you're from a town that's so small, or an area where they refer to the hard road, they're talking about the main highway. The reason it's called the hard road because all the other roads were either gravel or dirt, so evidently they were the soft roads. So it was nothing for some kid to come running up when I was a little kid. He'd say, "Come quick, dog has been killed down on the hard road." So we would all run down to see where the dog was. Well, we had a little volunteer fire department, which was basically a 37, a Chevrolet pickup truck was painted red, and they had 3 barrels in the back, and one of them was sand, and the other one was water, and the other one was full of burlap bags. And if there was a grass fire or something out there, these guys would, normally they'd just be sitting around the back of the city service station with their feet up on the stove listening to some of that good CW music coming out of WLS in Chicago. And one day they were sitting in there, and it came over the radio that there was a wildcat fire had hit out there between El Paso and the lake. It was one of these gas wells had erupted, and I guess the flames were shooting up into the air about 50 to 100 feet, and they had brought in Red Adair from Texas, and they had all these people out there trying to put out this hellacious fire. Television was covering it, and it came over the radio that the company, the Northern Gas Company, was offering a $10,000 reward for anybody that could come in and put the fire out. Well, when Wilbur and Gary and Gimp heard that on the radio, they jumped in that truck and they proceeded to go out there to see if they could be of help. Now, if you get the picture on this, you got all of these people, probably 200 or 300 people around this chain link fence, this fire erupting up in the middle, and all this high-powered equipment, and sitting around the TV cameras and everything. Well, off in the distance is a great big cloud of dust, and of course that's Gary and Wilbur and Gimpy. They were coming up there in that red Chevrolet truck. All you could see was the dust. The closer it got, there was a little red BB right there in the middle of it. It got closer and closer, and you began to see the grill of that 37 Chevrolet pickup truck. And as it got closer and closer, people began to realize these boys was not going to stop. And they kind of parted the side of the crowd. The truck went through, smashed right through the gate, and flew out across that field, the open area right where the fire was. And the truck, lo and behold, came to a slamming stop right on top of the fire that was gushing up. Now, those three boys jumped out of the back of that truck, and I'm telling you, they dumped water, they threw sand, and they beat with those burlap bags. And lo and behold, they put the fire out. And of course, they rushed in and capped it off and everything, and those guys was sweating, panting, black faces. TV cameras came up, and they were speechless. They didn't know what to say, and they looked at Gary, and they knew he couldn't talk. So they said to Wilbur, "How was it? We just don't understand the courage that you guys had. I mean, you came in here and you snuffed that fire out when all these people couldn't do a thing about it, and we hardly know what to say to you. I guess the only thing we can ask you is, what are you boys going to do with the $10,000 reward?" And Wilbur looked at Gary and looked at Gimp, and he said, "Well, I tell you what, the first thing we're going to do is have the brakes fixed on that 37 Chevrolet truck." But that ain't the one that I really wanted to tell you. I was just telling the guys today, you know, when I left there, a lot of people don't know this, but I graduated 14th in my class. Now, a lot of folks don't know that there were only 16 kids in my class, but this thing now they have up in the sky, this thing that went to Mars, and that going over that Marsscape and all that, the valedictorian, what was in my class, a young man named Richard Stoller, is one of the head men on that project. And I called him yesterday, and I said, "Dick, I'm kind of put back here because I see all these guys on TV and I don't see you." And he says that they're launching another space thing coming up this fall sometime, and he says he's gonna be on TV. But I was the first and the only one that ever graduated from community number 10 school that went to play college football. Now, the school burned down right after I graduated. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but nevertheless, the first college game that I saw, I played in it. And I went down to Illinois State University, and I looked around, and at that time, it didn't have too much of a stomach on me, and I had big arms because I'd worked at the cheese factory and baled hay and stuff. Had a real tight-fitting T-shirt on, and I was walking around down there on the campus, and they got to looking at me a little bit, and somebody came up and said, "Can we help you?" And I said, "Yes, I'm looking for the football coach." They said, "Come with us." So they took me down there to the McCormick Fieldhouse, and I met Ed Struck, and he said, "I'll give you a half scholarship just looking at you." He said, "You look like you could play." He says, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I want to be the guy that runs with the ball." And it only took about a week of practice, and I figured out I wasn't the guy that ran with the ball, but I did become a guard and a linebacker, and you got to have those on every football team. But what I wanted to really tell you was we went down to play Southern Illinois, the Salukis, and they had a big old tackle down there by the name of Houston Antwine. And Houston Antwine went on later to play with the St. Louis Cardinals, and that was before they went to Phoenix, and then the Rams went there. Well, I can't keep up with that. But anyway, we went down there to play them, and right before the half, I lined up, and all I know is that Houston Antwine was there, and the next thing, it was just kind of like a blackness sort of came over me, and what happened, I had gotten cold-cocked, or what we used to call wide-eyed. I was knocked out. It was right before the halftime, and they had taken me over to the sideline and put me down behind the bench. And now, I know they didn't, just absolutely forget about me, but the fact was, when the gun went off for halftime, the whole team rushed into the locker room, and they had left me laying there behind the bench and forgot all about me. And one of them little Saluki cheerleaders, bless her heart, she eased on down out of the stands there, and she was commencing to hold my head up and kind of cradling me a little bit to make sure I was okay. And when I looked up and I saw that beautiful face and realized what was going on, I just kind of dozed off again. If I'm lying, I'm dying.
Oh, your hair's kind of up there.
Yeah, stick up in the air.
It's a bad hair day right now.
Well, I can't say anything other than
Okay, you guys,
every
gentlemen.
year at this time, you're always you have a certain amount of anxieties because you don't know, if your preparation has been good or not, because there's really no way of revealing that. And then whether it's your preparation or whether it's just the abilities that the kids have, so it's always an interesting and difficult time because you're always you're just concerned that they're prepared. In our case, we're trying to do a balance of having fresh legs, taking care of our own kids, and then at the same time developing a football team with limited number of athletes. And so my message to them in about 10 minutes is going to be that the eggshells come off. Now, if they mentally have got to make the change, because we're always having them pull off on our own guys, but tonight they're going to have to be aggressive and they're going to have to attack, and they've got to sell out. And whether they're able to make that transition, that always is a concern. That if they're conditioned to not be aggressive against their own guys. And so that's my greatest concern. I think every year your practices, I mean, they're aimed at trying to develop whatever it is that you're trying to do, and I think we're able to execute. It's not like we're going out there and we don't know, the kids don't know what they're going to do. Our quarterback, he's going to be under fire. If he fumbles the ball, if he gets jazzed, if he doesn't read the defenses, and if he gets into some situations, we don't know how he's going to respond into that situation. The other thing that we don't know about the character of the team, and you never do, is how they're going to handle adversity. If the other team gets a run on them or something happens and they've got to hang in there until the end of the game. And so we've got to keep nursing them and bringing them along, and if we're fortunate enough to jump up early, we've got to maintain the intensity. You can't think the game is over. So other than, those things are always the same year after year. I will say this, that I have not been involved in everything, but I've been involved in a lot of athletics, and there is no feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach like the one you get when you're preparing for a football game, and when your team is going out there. It's different than anything else. I mean, when you're going with basketball, you can't wait to get there. I don't know what the element is. It's there's just a certain element. Where there's a little risk in it. I can't really put my finger on it. But I would say this, that probably the only feeling that I could imagine would be similar to it would be if you'd be in World War II and you're a bunch of guys in a trench and somebody comes along and whispers, "Fix bayonets." I think that feeling that you might get all of a sudden would be very, very similar, and you don't get that in baseball and basketball and track. I never was a swimmer, so I don't know if they get it or not.
What do you think the keys of the game are on stopping them, where their strong points, their weaknesses, and then what do we need to do?
Well, I think we'll be fairly solid in the middle, but we've got to attack from the perimeter. Those guys have got to come in and crunch right there. And if they turn the corner on us, if we get blown back at that spot, then I think it's going to be like I'm going to be watching the front surge, and I think Rayburn and some of those guys they'll make that surge all right. But that outside perimeter has got to come in and be there, right there. And if that doesn't happen, then they get outside of us a little bit, or they bounce outside. Then the next element will be, can our perimeter people come up and put hits and tackle? And we've got some guys that, Harvey and Kroom and some of these guys against the Fullertons and the Breas and some of those, but they've got a really good running back, and he's coming around there, and he's got a lot of speed, and if he gives them a stiff arm, or if they can't close on him, then that's going to be a problem. Then you step in with our other kids that are tall and have some speed themselves, like Matt Concolino. They'll come in, they will be able to do it. And then, of course, we're just hoping that we don't get an injury, because they will be aggressive and they will go to it, and we don't want to get an injury in that case. And then, of course, the third element will be that our linebackers do not let them pop us on the quick trap. And if they do, then of course our safety or the corners are going to have to come in. They're going to get some runs on us. I think that, but what we got to do is try to create the long down and then force them into doing something that they don't want to do. So we're going to have to be patient. And the kicking game scares the heck out of you, especially early. I don't know of anything else. Mike and George and Scott and Craig. The other 35 guys. Okay, what we do here, George is not familiar with this, we just go around the circle and we just say a little prayer and share with one another, nothing real long-winded, and then I'll finish it up then. So if you don't feel like it, why? Just be quiet, somebody will take your turn. Go ahead, Dan, you want to start?
Dear Lord, I want to thank you for another year of football, coaching with these guys. I just want you to help our kids along and have them play a good game and have them play to their potential. And please take care of our players and their players. Don't let them be too banged up. And if it's your will, come out with a big win tonight.
Lord, I want to thank you for the open arms by the players and the veteran coaching staff that have welcomed me, and I've enjoyed myself, and I hope I can contribute tonight.
Father, thank you for allowing me to be here. Give us the wisdom to make the correct choices and decisions on the playing field and on the sidelines, and keep everyone healthy tonight.
Father, thank you for putting me in this position and putting me around a good group of men and coaches that influence me, Lord, and for putting me into this position to where I can help along with the staff and the coach and possibly somehow influence young men as high school athletes. And Lord, I ask that your will be done tonight in this football game, and that you keep the injuries down and the serious injuries especially, and that your will be done, and a special request, Lord, that we can come out on top with the victory tonight and get out of this game not too banged up, and keep the kids fired up and encouraged from the get-go, and let them know that the game is a full 4 quarters of football. And I pray this in Jesus' name.
Father God, I just come to you tonight, as we all do. I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you for another day. And thank you for the opportunity to be around such great coaches and guys, for that matter. And just very lucky to have this opportunity to be coaching again. Didn't think I'd be here so soon. And just pray that tonight you have your hand on both teams, that injuries won't be serious, so that they end careers or bang up teams too bad for the next week. Lord, I just pray that I have sturdy legs on the tower. I might need them. And I just pray this in Jesus' name.
Lord, thank you for each man in this room and their contributions to this team. Thank you to all the support people who are out there that's supporting us and helping us get through it, help us to call the best game that we can on both sides of the ball through the preparation. Try to be with each of us to be good teachers on the field and to do our part and to pay attention to detail and just allow the kids to use their God-given talents. We have such a talented group of kids. Just let them be able to use those and then reflect back and realize that you're the one that gave them those abilities to do the things they're going to be able to do tonight.
Father God, just help us all to remember that everything that has happened and everything that will happen is a part of your plan. And our only role in this is to respond in the correct way. whether it's good or bad or whatever. It's our response. And when we have a heart for you, our response will always be the correct one. And we will always find the victory in whether we're victorious on the score or whether we're not. But if we will look for the reasons and to look for the lessons to be gained, to look for all the things. So keep us humble in victory, and keep us gracious in defeat, and whatever it takes. Because whatever we say and do will be reflected and will either honor you or tarnish you. So we ask that you would keep us to have our language in the right way, and that, as Danny said, that we could beat to the best of our ability so that we can help the kids. And then be with the kids, especially those young ones that are young in you, that have received you as their personal Savior this summer, and just help them to really draw close to you and enjoy the fellowship. Help us to be aggressive, Father God, and to do the job, and then to prepare each game as we go through this season. Thank you for it in His name. Amen. This is what we got. Last year I'd be running around chasing guys down. You guys are in here ready to go. There's no big fire-up speech that you can say at this particular time. And at halftime, it's the same way. A lot of times you'll have somebody say, boy, that coach must have fired them guys up at halftime because they came out and did so. That really isn't the way it works. At halftime, you meet with your coaches, you talk about your problems, you work that out, you make the adjustments. That fire, that enthusiasm, that thing that you got going, you're working with that the whole time. So it's not, like I said before, some big rush of adrenaline. I do want to touch on a few things. Number one, we do not finish off on our own guys in practice. You know that. We do not finish off, drag the guy to the ground, and then 4 or 5 guys make sure he's there and rally around him and be rough and aggressive, because we don't want to hurt our own people. But you have to make that transition. Tonight, when you go in to smack them, it's all the way, baby. It's all the way down. And that is an attitude that has got to be within your mental part. Now, I don't care how good we play tonight, guys. We are going to play better the next week, and better than that the next week, and better than that the next week. And so don't you forget that. You're going to make some mistakes tonight. The next week you're going to make a few less. Okay? So you're going to get better as you go. But that aggressiveness, getting in there and getting after it, that, guys, has to come from within you. Because this is just, the natural way that we do things. Now, last year there were 2 penalties in this game. I think 2 for them and 2 for us. Really, there were only 4 penalties, I think, in the whole game. And that's good. Penalties, guys, are divided into boneheaded penalties, and then penalties you can't help. You're trying to block downfield, and the guy turns, you get a clip or something. You got to live with that. Dumb penalties are jumping off sides, lining up incorrectly, hitting the guy signaling a fair catch, or doing something dumb. But you can't be out there worried about that. It's just that, you don't want to make them. The dumbest thing I saw so far this year, I see a few, Woodbridge last night. They're playing Pacifica. Pacifica's got the game won, guys. It's 3rd and 20. They go in, they sack the Woodbridge quarterback. Now it's going to be 4th and maybe 25 or whatever. You realize that. And then all of a sudden, after half the guys are walking back to the huddle, there goes the flag up. Because some guy got his mouth going and got a personal foul, and he gives Woodbridge the first down. Boom, the next play, ball on the 3-yard line, wham, they scored, and they tied the game. Because the guy couldn't keep his mouth shut. Man, was that dumb. And we don't have that. I'm just hitting on that. That's one of the things that we don't want to have. Be aggressive, come at them, and then offensively, just stay cool. Remember what I said, you're going to give thumps on defense, especially you guys on the outside, big thumps. And then you guys on the offense, get those chunks. Now, we played some big games. If I remember, I was trying to think about today. It's either Canyon or VP last year. We started off and the guys were open, and we'd be miscuing the ball a little bit, or we'd be dropping, and then we'd have to punt, and then we'd hold, and then we'd get going again. Pretty soon we beat them pretty good. But in this type of a game where they're gonna try to control the game on us, we need to make sure that we control the ball on offense as much as we can. So a little pressure on you guys if you got to catch and run. Okay? Catch and run. Now, the last thing I want to say before I have Coach Droop lead us in a word of prayer is that, guys, this is special. And you know what? No matter what, when anybody says what you're feeling in here right now, that's different than what you get when you're going to go play a basketball game. A little different than what you're going to get before a golf match. A little different than what you're going to get on some of the other things. That little thing going inside of there, guys, that's kind of like those old guys in the Army when the sergeant came along and said, fix bayonets. You know, the hair stands up on your back of your neck when they say fix bayonets. Because you know something's going to happen and it's going to be close quarters. It's something special. And so you learn to deal with it. You learn to turn it into an energy for you. You didn't have butterflies a little bit, you wouldn't be ready to play. Man, when you make that contact and they're gone, you're ready to go. And that's what it's all about. All over the country tonight, it's Friday night, guys. All over the county, all over the state, all over the country. Hundreds of locker rooms just like this. Guys, forming memories that they'll never forget. Getting a bonding that is unbelievable. Most people don't understand it. They've never been this way. And you guys get it in the morning. For you other guys that are going to be playing along with you, the same thing. Dealing with that, boy, that's what makes it special. And it's super. It's great. Just do your thing, like I said in the paper. If you just do your thing, the winning will take care of itself. Just do your little battles. And looking at the big picture as we go along. Oh, I'm so excited for you. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And we got the whole time ahead of us to continue to improve. It's almost over, but we got to get out and get on this. Coach, why don't you?
Father God, thank you for all the hard work these men in this room have been doing over the past couple of weeks. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for getting our different players back that have been banged up. Help us to play a complete game. Help us to be aggressive on defense. Help us to realize that there are so many people in this room that have such great God-given talent and potential. And if they'll just go out and do that and use it in your honor, and then to realize that you're the one that gave it to them. Help us to be free of injury tonight in our opponent. Help us to be good sportsmanship on and off the field and to play like we know how to do here at Foothill with class. Lord, just be with us as we go through the season. As Coach Meiss said, just get better and better. Help us to hustle on, encourage one another, and when adversity faces us, that's the true character of this team. Just fight right back and turn it our way. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah.
way up. So about back it up 5 more. About 5 more pounds. Go and start throwing line. Your long snap to someone else, another person. Everybody go up and clean up and start getting that ready. Let's go.
Come back to the ball, Jimmy.
Teamwork, let's go. Maybe there. I watched the few places in that year. Oh, I don't know. That could have worked. Yeah, and because they just did this. He's at 6'5", 305. Really, he's about. He weighs 336. Working his way down. He weighs 336. The one thing I did notice is he comes for something. He had a wonderful attitude. Yeah. I don't think he's a really nice. I think the loss of David Monaco was lost.
what are we gonna do? No huddle. Up on the ball. Gonna be calling the set as he comes. Boom. Plays off. Get going.
Hey, coach, bring those guys up here.
Get the ball down. Area protection as well. You're not gonna touch it tonight.
Darren. Get up here right in here. Come on, Andy, hurry up. Come on. Okay, the captain's got to go out in a couple of minutes, so hold on to attention. Mouthpiece on the ground.
Mouthpiece on the ground.
Good. Someone wants mouthpiece.
We got it. Got it.
All right, a couple of things, just last minute reminders. First of all, you must play, guys, playing, everybody, you must play with your eyeballs up. You must see what's going on. It's easy to get caught up in a blur and you just kind of grunt and go here and you don't really know what's happening. You must play with big eyes. You've got to see it. Okay? The other thing is that remember, most of the ball carriers, okay, they will run into you. Okay, so don't put your head down. Keep your face up and take them down, make your tackles. Okay? Us, on offense, most tacklers do not look. And so don't accept it, don't expect it. Try to avoid them. You especially get out in the open, going for yak yardage, don't assume the guy's going to tackle you. And make him bring you down. Put a move on him, keep your eyes up, make him bring you down. If you can do that, you can take it to him. Okay, now, on everybody on the sideline, you got to pay attention when there's a shift in the momentum, or if we need to punt, you need to anticipate those things. Don't go back and lounge back on the bench. If one of our guys takes a ding, and you're the guy that's substituting for him, you got to be on top of it all the time. So you've got to check, make sure he's not going in, then you go in. Okay? All right, now, captains, you need to go on out, and the rest of you guys, we'll take a knee here, we'll have a little word of prayer, then we'll go out and get kind of stretched out a little bit on the sideline. Any guys? Go, guys. Father God, we thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you for this season. We just thank you for the ability that you've given us. We ask that we have the intelligence to recognize that you created us and you have a purpose for our lives, and that there is meaning, and that there is direction, and that there is testing, and that there's opportunity. So we just ask that you would help us to be mindful of all these things, just to relax and have fun and enjoy it and know that you're in charge, and just have a special unity in love with one another. Thank you now and ask you for protection and guidance of both sides of the ball tonight. Give everybody wisdom in making good decisions. Thank you for it. In his name, amen. Amen. Okay. Let's go, boys. Here we go, kid. Yeah. Work around. Work it out. Los. Hey, you guys right up. Let's go, guys. Ball.
Number one, hot spot at quarterback for the Pillars.
Come on, dude! Let's go, dude!
go.
First down. Looking at 20 yards. Unfortunately, Matt Hall picking up on that last play.
How you doing? Go, bring it up. Hustle, come on, let's go. All right, now listen up, guys. The only thing I don't want to see in you is I could give a rip less. I don't want to see any quit in you. Okay? I don't want to see any quit in you. We're taking it in the shorts. I don't want to see any quit in anybody. Nobody's down on you. The guy's he's a good back. He's making you miss. Only thing you've got to do is go out. If you can't take him high, you're gonna have to take him low. Everybody just keeps scrambling and keeps going after us. You know, hey, we've had our butts kicked and we've come back, and it doesn't make any difference what the situation is. You have to play it aggressively, and as I said before the game, try to improve. Okay? You don't know what's going to happen. You go out there, they may want to try to stick your nose in it, throw a pick, you get back in the ball game. As far as I'm concerned, it's nothing to nothing right now. Now, if you do not believe you can go out and win that stupid thing, and that's the way you're going to have to play to your best of your ability, is to say, hey, who knows what can happen? You go out there and you play it as if it's a fresh, brand new ball game. You play it from that viewpoint. Ignore the scoreboard. Every play, give it your best shot. Don't get down on each other. You know, I know it's tough when the score is like that, but by golly, you got to learn it. Okay? You'll be a good football team, but we got to start right now. And nobody's pissed off at you. You know, I'm frustrated as you are. I wish I could figure it all out. We can't miss tackles, and then offensively, we got to control the ball a little bit. So let's go out and make the most of the situation. We win in the process. That's great. We don't. You got your head up. You played it aggressive, and nobody's out. No, dude, you know, I want to see that from you. You see you keeping it up and keeping after it the whole way. Have some pride, right?
Hey,
have some pride.
Hey, whether or not we win or lose this game, and I know all you guys want to win this game, I want to see everybody walk out of the stadium with their heads up, all right?
You guys, just get your pride going. Let's go.
None of us like it. I don't like it. We've been on both ends of this thing, so it's behind us. And next Christmas, nobody will give a shit. Okay? Main thing is we got to come to get better. Next week we have Woodbridge. That's the only thing that counts now. This is over with. We got to get better. Boy, do we have some areas that we need to work on. But you showed me some things out there that we can build on. So don't get your divers down. We're not going to give up on you in any way. We're going to come back. We're going to do the same things that we always do. Look at the film, improve, and move ahead. You understand? But don't, let this tear you down. None of us like it, and we didn't play our best game tonight, so we got to come back. We've been in this position 100 times. It's just a matter of getting better and correcting it and getting on with it. So keep your heads up. You just got to go to work. It doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean anything for anything except that's a game. Okay? All right, now JV guys, tomorrow you get a chance to take out some of your frustrations a little bit and build on the group on that. Okay? So you remember, you keep your jersey, other guys turn yours in. Remember what I've always said, after a loss, the dings and the pains, they hurt a little more. And when you win, you don't feel a thing. But you got to rise above that. Everybody be at practice, ready to go. Have a good week. We play on Saturday next week. Give us a little time to iron out some things. Get our specialty teams lined up a little bit better. But don't be down on yourselves in any way. We'll talk more about it when we get back. Keep your hat on. Everybody get on the bus as quick as you can. Let's go.
Okay, boys, bring it up, bring it up.
Stop and lock high.
Heads up, guys.
20 on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, offensive line.
Ball carries number 31, Derek Banks, down to the El Medina 20-yard line. Tackle by number 23, Kevin Boo. 14-yard pickup for the night and a first down.
Seattle left.
Tackle by number 25, Mike Walton. Gain of a half a yard on the play.
Come on, Harvey says he's going to get a knockout. I want to see it.
Is he cracking?
He says, yeah, Harvey says he's going to knock somebody out in this game. Okay, 35, here it is, big guy.
Come on, Hall.
There we go.
Nice.
Shit, we got a hole. Told him about this.
Tackle by number 4.
That was a beautiful bounce. Harvey could have laid that guy out. They pushed down. Just kind of shield him. He bounces well because he's so patient, man. Yeah.
Holding against Woodhill.
He's like the baseball. No, they called it. I don't know who they called it on.
That was the second. Same. Now let's go. Big flex right. Seattle right.
Finley is from
Let's
the
see Kroom that push out.
20
Watch him
foul,
push.
so the ball will be back at the 48-yard line of El Medina. Second down and 8.
Coming back this way now.
Watch this big pussy. On the line, Kroom. On the line! What the hell is wrong with these guys? They crack me up somehow. Get him. Go, baby, go. Hold the ball. Consecutive points.
Maybe they cut that one out right when they needed to.
Here it goes. I mean, this is where they're not going to let me score. I'll tell you that. I got to do something.
Tackle by number 41. Jordan.
I got a long way. So let me see low block now.
Got to cut out sandwich night.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Sandwich night is no longer.
Penalty on the play against Woodhill.
Big flex right.
He said Blaine
Fade
cut
left.
below the waist.
No, fake comeback.
Top block, blocking below the waist against Woodhill.
Tailback doesn't
Second
know
down
what to
and
do.
18, the ball at the Woodhill 47.
I know, but he knows quick protection. That's Myers right into quick protection. He's a blood.
Bobby Coster's pass, intended for number 7, Chad Campolino.
That's scary. It's
Complete.
a little quicker. That guy would have been skip 6.
Let's go
Gain of 6 after about the
super white right,
Woodhill 40.
flex, super white right, flex.
Third down, Woodhill.
45 blast New Mexico, 2.
Third and 13 for the night.
Super white right, 45 blast New Mexico. Coach, not that shit.
Super white right flex.
Coach, you want me to tell you every single time? I don't know.
What's the next? Is it super white right flex? Or just super white right?
Go.
Flex.
Good shot.
Pass pro. Someone.
Go, come on. Come on. There he is. Let's go punt. Let's hold it. Just hold it. I don't know what to do.
Well, 2 penalties puts us right off.
Oh, yeah.
Second
Run
2-run plays, holding 3 plays in a row, actually.
Five-yard penalty, move the ball back to the Foothill 27-yard line. First and 15, Knight. Ball carried by number 4, Carlos Rivera. Tackled by number 20, Kevin Dyke, along with number 41, Jordan Sakowski. Second down for the Knights, the ball at the 30-yard line. Helicopter ruled down back at the 16-yard line. Tackle by number 45, Mike Walters. Make sure that you stop by the Foothill High School boosters table. All of the sweatshirts and caps and stars are half price. Make sure you stop and make a selection before you go home tonight. Timeout, flag on the play. Delay of game, Foothill. Five-yard penalty will move the ball back to the 27-yard line. First and 15, Knights. Title champion game, maybe 3 on the play. Timeout, El Medina. Second down for the Knights, the ball at the El Medina 27. Bobby Koster on a quarterback keeper across the 25-yard line, maybe the 24. El Medina calls a timeout. This will give us an opportunity to remind you to stop by the Foothill High School football boosters table. Take advantage of their half-price sale on sweatshirts, caps, and stars. Make sure you do that on your way home tonight. Robbie Foster on a keeper brought down near the 20-yard line of El Medina. Tackled by number 47, Jimmy Juarez. Fourth and 8 for the Knights. The ball is at the El Medina 20-yard line. the ball at the Vanguard 20. Bobby Cox, the quarterback keeper, around the right side. Timeout. El Medina takes over on down. First and 10 from their own